Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Now, I wasn't going to post a video tonight, I was going to take a little break, but as usual, the strangeness does not stop. It doesn't stop for me or anyone else, and so I just had to post this video about it. I really just love this stuff. So, the thing I want to talk about today is a pair of extremely fascinating telescopic photographs that have just hit the web of this extremely mysterious and what some have said could be some sort of alien craft, alien satellite, or just, a strange red glowing object of some sort caught passing by. And apparently, according to the source, this red glowing spacecraft traveled an enormous distance through space in a matter of around 3 minutes. And so this was posted to MUFON. The case number I'll put down below. You go to the website, search it, and it'll pop up along with the description. But a skywatcher from Aztec, New Mexico was observing this constellation. And he says in his description when he submitted to MUFON, quote, "On May 8th, 2018, I was in my backyard doing astrophotography. My subjects that night were a pair of galaxies in the spring sky, NGC 4631 and NGC 4656 in the constellation Canis Venatici. My equipment was a 103mm apochromatic refractor and a Canon EOS 6D DSLR. It's a very nice camera. I was shooting 3-minute subframes at the time. The object appeared on one of my subframes as it crossed through the field of view. My first impression was that it was some satellite or high-flying aircraft. One of my submitted photos show how far the object moved across the frame during this particular 3-minute exposure. The object never appeared in any of my other frames, and I did not see anything like it again that night." Okay, so now, I have posted numerous videos of mysterious objects captured in telescopic footage, and I'm going to go through some of those here in just a second. But one of the things you always hear when some of these objects are captured, especially when we have these extreme zoom levels, not just up to the moon, but past the moon looking at galaxies. And there's a reason why none of these objects that you'll see passing by are aircraft or anything that are up in our atmosphere, because at these zoom levels, you are so far zoomed out that if, say, an aircraft or a bird or a bug were to fly over the lens, it would either not show up at all because of this extreme zoom level, or it would appear as just a vague blur quickly passing across the lens. This object here and the many objects that I'm going to show you in a second, this other footage, are without a doubt out there in space. We know that for sure. And so that tells us that relative to where these objects are, whether we're looking at Jupiter or a constellation or a galaxy, these objects are somewhere in between Earth and these points of interest out in space, somewhere in between. And again, here we have a seasoned astrophotographer who is stating that this is something out there in space caught flying through. It just, it was one of those freak occurrences. And so could it be a satellite? Could it be something that we put up there? We obviously, we can't tell. We don't know. But when I saw this, it reminded me of a number of other very mysterious objects and pieces of footage captured by other astrophotographers, some of the most interesting ones that we've featured here on the channel over the years. And so to start off, I want to show an extremely anomalous clip that we posted in a video back in 2016, where once again we had a very high-powered telescope that was aimed out at the Jupiter system. So you see Jupiter, you see its moons, when all of a sudden an extremely fast-moving object comes into frame, and he begins to follow it with his telescope. So check this out. Okay, so pretty interesting stuff, right, guys? Now, when I originally featured this, it was sent to me by a guy who ran a channel that was called Take Back Space TV. And basically, he originally was watching the moon. This clip is actually part of like a 4-hour video of him watching the sky, watching various planets. And so he was originally watching the moon when he decided to focus his telescope on the Jupiter system. And that is when he caught this mysterious object and recorded it for around 10 minutes straight. So what you guys just saw isn't even the full clip. Recorded it moving through space for about 10 minutes. And one thing he said was that whatever the object was, it was extremely large. You know, if you had something like a small asteroid or comet, it pretty much wouldn't appear at all. I also got some more footage and images of strange things happening near the Jupiter system. There's something going on with Jupiter. I don't know what it is, but there's been a lot of just anomalous activity that's been captured around it, near it. We've done a ton of videos about some of the moons of Jupiter and how even the space agencies are now claiming that some of these moons that have oceans, massive oceans under their surfaces, could be the best candidates for alien life in the solar system. And so moving on, there was another astronomer, this time from the UK, who again had his telescope pointed at the Jupiter system when he again captured something flying by near it, something much more defined in this case, and according to him, something massive. And you're seeing that photograph here, where once again, the brightest spot of all of them, that's Jupiter. We see a few of Jupiter's moons, and then we have this very mysterious object, again, in what amounts to just sheer luck, having been captured in the frame. And unlike the video clip that you just saw, where we couldn't really make out what the object was passing by, this object definitely seems to have, an artificial shape to it. It looks to have shadowing, depth, almost has what appears to be a dome on top. Some have said it looks triangular in nature. Others have said it's more of a disc or a cigar-shaped object. I don't know. But, there's definitely some definition here. There's some shape and coloring to it. I mean, it looks to me like a ship of some sort. It's definitely not one of the moons of Jupiter. Any astronomer looking at this will tell you this object is out of place. And, I remember when I posted this video and I was looking at this, and, the Skywatcher from the UK who captured it, it was just, amazing and mind-boggling. And so I also remember that just later in the year, it may have just been a month or two after the Skywatcher captured this image, if you guys remember, there was that massive impact on planet Jupiter once again, where telescopes around the world captured something flying in at light speed to the point where you couldn't make out what it was, but you could see the point where it smashed into Jupiter, creating this massive explosion. And when this happened, NASA, being NASA, they were extremely quick. And it was almost too quick, I remember. It was like they were just trying to get the story out as quick as they could, that, well, it was just a space rock, a little space rock, maybe a comet or an asteroid that flew into Jupiter, and that's why you see this explosion, as the object crashed into this massive gas giant. And a lot of skywatchers, and I mean people who don't even follow aliens or UFOs, I remember being contacted and reading on astronomy forums, people saying that there's no way this was just some little asteroid or comet, because when you look at the explosion itself is almost as big as planet Earth, if not bigger. And so whatever hit this planet, whether it was an object, whether it was an energy beam, whether something happened within the planet or maybe something exited, this explosion, this Earth-sized explosion, would not have been caused by a simple little asteroid or space rock the way NASA told it. Once again, more strangeness around Jupiter. This we featured in one of my earliest videos, where this mysterious blue, it sort of looked like a number 8, was captured, again, flying past the Jupiter system, which you can see in the background. And what was so great about footage and all these images we were getting is these weren't coming from ufologists or conspiracy theorists looking for something. These were coming from regular sky watchers out there that were being featured in mainstream news. And it seemed to be happening so fast. We were seeing so many of these strange objects near Jupiter and just out in space, because some of them definitely may have been closer to Earth, but they were out there in space. And these things were being seen so many times, NASA couldn't keep up. So it finally got to a point where NASA just stayed quiet about these things. They stopped attempting to explain them away. And so back to these main images, what do you guys think? We've certainly shown, just a handful of the many examples of strange things being captured out in space. This object seems to be glowing, almost as if it has lights on it. And, just looking at this object, it reminds me of a similar incident that we've spoken about before. It occurred back in September of 1973, where astronauts participating in the Skylab program were orbiting the Earth when one of the astronauts noticed a faint, red, glowing, unidentified object out in space, almost trekking along with them. And for years, the photographs he snapped were classified until they were finally released or made their way to the public. Those photographs of the object you're seeing here, according to the astronauts, it was definitely an unknown object. It was emanating this bright red glow, seemed to be following along with them before finally changing direction and disappearing behind the Earth's horizon line. And to this day, it remains to be a confirmed UFO sighting, but that has never been explained by NASA, despite whatever cover-ups or cover stories they put out. So, could this be the same UFO that was seen back in '73 above Earth during the Skylab incident? And that is a question I will leave for you guys today. So again, if you want the high-res versions of these images, I'll put the link and the case number to MUFON down below. Tell me your opinion. A lot of strangeness happening in the world and off-planet, and we're going to keep covering it here. So stay safe, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys back in just a bit.